Hello. Today we are going to talk to you about how you can design your slide template for your NEA. This is in preparation for the context being released, and it's really useful actually to have the slides ready to go in the design structure that you want so you can be really consistent. In this video, you're going to understand what structure your slide should take and then how you can design your template to help you communicate effectively. If you look at these two little characters here, the one on the left-hand side represents our brains and how kind of complex and confused they often are, and how all the information is often so mumbled. And we absolutely understand what we mean, but sometimes it's hard to communicate what we mean to other people. And it's really important when we're thinking about the slides and the fact that you're going to be communicating this whole story, this whole design process to other people, that you make it as clear to other people what you're thinking and what you're doing and why you're doing it. You're trying to show them your analytical, critical thinking and design process throughout. And so really we want to be communicating this kind of regimented, clear fashion like this. And so we're going to discuss how you can go about doing that really effectively. So the first thing you're going to be doing with your slides is making sure that you use title pages and a structure. So the simplest thing to do will be to use the structure that we're using, the chronological structure we're using with the mark scheme and with the deadlines. So if you break up your NEA slides into these different sections with some title pages, it's going to be really clear for you to cross-check and us to cross-check with the mark scheme and with that tick list to make sure everything is there and everything is done to a high standard. So you will be using this structure. So each one of these 7 sections will have its own title page in your slides. When you're designing your template, and I do not want you to use one of the templates that are already on slides. You need to design your own one. I want you to be thinking about what font you want to use and what size. For the main body of text, please, please, please don't use more than 12. To be honest, I think 12 even looks too big. 10 would be ideal. Please make sure you're being consistent throughout. So using the same font, using the same font sizes for different things. So if you're using, say, size 16 for titles, be consistent with size 16 for titles. If you're using size 10 with the bulk text, use size 10 with the bulk text. And then make sure that you're using the same font as well. You need to be really thinking about how you highlight key information, whether that is literally using a highlighting tool on the text, or whether you underline, or whether you change the color of the text, whether you bold it or italic. Please use these tools that slides give you to highlight this key information. Use of colour is very useful throughout. Don't go overboard. Don't make it multicolored like this font here. But do use colour to help emphasise, to show different sections, to show key information that is important. And then consider the layout, not only keeping it consistent, but making sure that you make titles clear and you make sure that the photos are well laid out and you can see them and you can see all the information you're putting in there, and it's structured in a logical way as well. And the key piece of information to remember throughout this whole process is you are telling a story. Your whole design process is really exciting and really interesting, but people can't read your mind. And the exam board is just going to be looking at your work. They don't know you. They don't know what you've been through. So you need to put everything in these slides in order for them to understand what you're doing and how you're going through it. It's really important to show that critical thought and all those processes you're going through, because actually you get so many marks for just working through the process of this whole NEA is where you get most of those marks. It's not just on the final prototype, the final design, it's the whole process you're going through. So it's really important that you're explaining that whole process, and I'm going to go through how you look at that now. So I've come up with a couple of design ideas I just wanted to go through with you now, so you get a sense of how you do it. So you'll see here I've made myself a pretty standard, quite clear, quite crisp title page. It just tells the person that it's my NEA design technology. It's got my name, so people know my name. It's got my center number. So this is the number you'll be using for the center, 10144. And then you also want to make sure that your title page has your candidate number. We do know what your candidates numbers are, but it's probably easiest for us to actually give it to you in September. So what I'm going to ask you to do now is make sure you leave a space for it and do just as I've done here, put kind of a question mark or 4 stars or something, just to show that you're going to fill it in later. And then I've got all these title pages, as I discussed here, with the different title pages from the structure that we discussed. So there's 7 title pages. You'll see I have those title pages. What I've also done, which I'd like you to do as well, is add what I'd call like a normal page. So a bulk page for each of the sections. So it's already color coded to match the color coding of your title page. You will see here, and this is when we were talking about telling the story, that I've added a box for introduction and a box for conclusion. We add these here so that the person reading your story, reading your slides, knows what the page is about, knows what you're aiming to do, and then knows what you've pulled out from doing that activity, whatever that activity is, and you'll know what the next steps are. And then when you move to the next page and read the introduction, you'll know where you're going and what you've found out as well. So it's really useful, and that's the best way of communicating effectively. If you've added introductions and conclusions on every page, it's going to really help with your overall communication. So that is why on the template, I make sure that I have a box for introduction and conclusion on every page so I don't miss it. And that means when you need to add pages here, you'll just go duplicate slide, and then you can add all your different pages, change the title, add the information, and you remind yourself to change the conclusion and change the introduction. What I would do, so you don't confuse yourself, is in your template, I would just make sure that I just have it like this, so you don't think you've filled it in and you're not repeating the same introduction on every page, because that will just look silly. And then that's that design. So you can just see I've got all 7 titles there. And then I've done a second design, just a completely different design that you might want to try. Titles on the side instead. I've numbered the sections, so this has been numbered 1 to 7, just because that also works quite nicely. But they've also added the titles. I will share these designs with you as a PDF, and your task now is to design your set of slides. So you should have a full title page, then 7 of the subtitle pages that are here, and then each of those you should have just like a bulk page design that you're going to use for all the pages within that section. That's your task now. Good luck, and we look forward to seeing them.